It's a 7.
What suit?
Diamonds. No, wait, hearts.
Oh my God, 7 of hearts, you're right.
Hey, Ash, I guessed the card right.
Yeah, truly amazing, Linda.
I don't know, but I think it's really some sort of extra sense or something, you know, like ESP.
Okay, try this.
Okay, it's a 7.
I don't believe it.
Of spades. Queen of spades. 4 of hearts. 8 of spades. 2 of spades. Jack of diamonds. Jack of clubs.
Disturbed our sleep, awakened us from our ancient slumber. You and I, like the others before you, one by one we will take you.
Hey guys, tonight we're going to get into that 1981 horror movie classic, The Evil Dead. So let's get at it.
Yo, we rolling deep, let's dive into the fray. Hit that play button, we review every bite. From horror flicks that give you chills at night to games that thrill, yeah, we get it right. Remember that, step back, hold tight. We'll dissect every scare, keep the vibe right. Remember that, we're here to expose the thrills, the chills where the dark wind blows. From pixels on screens to the sound that glows. Join us forever, that's how the story goes.
Welcome to Remember That, the podcast where we talk about movies and video games and stuff like that. I'm your host, Corky. That's your host, Daniel, Cade, and Brent. And tonight we got a special guest, Bryson, with us, man. Bryson, tell everybody hello.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Yeah, but it's going good. We're happy to have you, bud. Tonight we're going to talk about that 1981 American classic, The Evil Dead. So here we go. The Evil Dead is a 1981 American independent horror film directed by Sam Raimi. It follows 5 college students vacationing in an isolated cabin in the woods where they find an audio tape that, when played, releases a legion of demons and spirits. Now, 4 members of the group suffer from demonic possession, forcing the 5th member, Ash, which is played by Bruce Campbell, to survive an onslaught of increasingly gory mayhem. Brent, tell us how this movie did at the box office, bro.
All right, so the budget for this movie was $375,000. They basically just rounded up donations and as many investors as they could get, but the movie made $29 million worldwide. So made a huge profit off of their $375,000 budget.
Yeah, boy, that's making that money. Okay, Cade, run down that cast for us of this, cinematic classic.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start with the main man himself, Ash, played by one of my favorite actors ever, Bruce Campbell. I love Bruce Campbell. He's been in a ton of other good movies. My favorite trilogy he's been in was the Spider-Man trilogy, the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. That's near and dear to my heart. So he was the main character here. We actually have Cheryl Williams, played by Ellen Sandwich. Some of these other actors are not super well known, but I'll mention a few of the other ones here. And then we have Richard Demaniker, or Scotty, played by, Hal Delrich. And then Ash's girlfriend, who has a super creepy moment in this movie, is played by Bestie Baker. So that's pretty much some of the main cast we got there for this awesome movie.
Awesome, man. I tell you, this movie, again, it's one of those classic staples for me. I can remember watching it as a child growing up. And, it starts out, they're just driving through the hills. I believe this movie was filmed somewhere around we lived, right? Like in North Carolina or something like that.
It takes place in Tennessee.
It was filmed in Morristown, Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I knew it.
Morristown.
I knew it was close to us. But anyhow, they're driving up to a cabin. I guess they're going to have a little weekend getaway or whatever. And when they get to the cabin, they notice the swings kind of swinging there on the porch. And, they're looking at it as they go on the porch. As soon as they grab the door handle, the porch stops swinging. So I think at that point, everybody knew something was, kind of off. But before we get into it real hot and heavy here. Bryson, our guest here tonight, buddy. Tell us your initial thoughts of this movie.
Look, I love this movie. I probably watched it for the first time when I was in middle school. And again, just want to say happy to be here. Thanks for having me on. I'm a fan of the show, listen about every episode. I know Brent, he introduced me to y'all show and invited me here, so thank you again. But the movie itself is just I love it. It's one of my favorites. I'll go into that more once we start ranking this thing later on, but that just walking up to that cabin with that swing just kind of hitting, and you look in the background, there's no leaves blowing, there's no wind anywhere. It just gives it that eerie feeling just right off the bat.
Yeah, man, this movie, it's filmed in one of those ways, kind of like I relate it to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that one that was filmed back in, what was it, 1974 or something like that. Real cheap,
Yeah,
but I think that gives it a real eerie feeling, you know. So
well,
Yeah.
the thing with it too is they're headed up to the cabin, and they're on that road. They're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, you know, but they're still passing people, right? And then you've got that truck that's coming towards them, and whatever it was in the woods kind of grabs a hold of the wheel, and it locks the wheel down and almost causes them to wreck before they even get to the cabin. You know, because you've got that thing where it's a first person view with the camera, and it's going through the woods. You know, it kind of starts off in like a pond or something, kind of comes up out of the pond, and it's kind of cruising through the woods there. And then all of a sudden you see that car with Ash and all of his buddies in it. And then that's when it kind of locks down the wheel. Ash's buddy that was driving was saying that he couldn't turn the wheel, almost causes a wreck. So that thing was already on them way before they even got to the cabin. And I always thought it was creepy, because you had that truck, so you know people's around. That guy is at work, you know, doing some kind of delivery with that truck or whatever. But then later on, they passed those two guys fairly near the bridge, and it looks like they were fishing. So you're out in the middle of you're secluded, but you're not completely alone. And I always think that things like that, when they set up in movies like that, it's like you're just within reach of help, but you still can't get to the help. And I think that adds to it.
yeah, man, it's actually one of my favorite movies. I can remember watching this movie when I was a little kid, man. But you know, I think as the movie starts, something happens when she draws a picture or something like that, and somehow the movie's it's kind of got a comical part to it. Does her hand gets possessed or something like that? Do you guys remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So like she gets forced to draw a picture of, I believe, the actual book, which I always butcher the name. It's like the Necronomicon.
The Necronomicon.
The Necronomicon, which is I love the lore behind like that. Like I guess like the demons and the films and stuff in the Evil Dead franchise. But she starts drawing in the book, and I don't know if this is going to be a trivia question or not, but there was something particular about the clock in this movie, and I was trying to piece it together. I meant to do some more research on it, but does anybody have any idea what the significance is of the time?
No,
this may
I really
be a spoiler
don't.
for a trivia question, but because it was actually, if you pay attention, it was the same time when she looked at it. The time stayed the same. I think even at the end of the movie on the clock, either it was broken or
really
It did
something
jump
happened.
around
It
a couple
did.
times.
The clock actually was at a different time whenever they went in. There's one or two shots right when they first get into the cabin to where the time is different. So you know the clock is at least keeping time. And then whenever she actually gets possessed and draws the book, there's a specific time on the clock, and that specific time, if I'm remembering right, holds all the way through till the end of the movie.
It's like 9:30 or
yeah.
I can't remember
something strange
Well,
about it.
I know she's drawing a picture of the clock, and then it shows the clock stop, and that's when she hears a voice kind of go, "Join us" or something like that, and that's when her hand becomes possessed, and you know, then she draws a picture of the Necronomicon there on the paper, whatever. But then they go to dinner because you know that wasn't freaky enough. You know, you know what
Like,
I
how is
think.
that not a red flag?
Yeah, you know what I
I'm
think
running.
I'll do after I'm sitting there and my hand gets possessed and I draw a devil book. Then I'm going to go have dinner. You know, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just go
because you know
have
that
a few
happens all
drinks.
the time.
You get
So
hungry when you get
yeah,
possessed.
you
You
got
get
whether
hungry.
your hand is possessed or not, you still got to have dinner. So they're
Right.
sitting
Or
there.
you go skinny dipping.
Yeah, yeah, or have a werewolf orgy while we're at it. But
Yep.
maybe there's a guy over there doing handstands in the corner. You know,
I mean,
but
you never know. That dude's
Can't
probably
see
in the
him, so
basement.
probably.
They ain't got to him yet. He's in the basement.
yeah. Speaking of the basement, they're sitting there having dinner, and the little trap door in the floor slings up, and they're like, "Oh, that's weird," you know, because so they stop eating their dinner and they have to go investigate why this trap door or cellar door, I guess, has flung open. So Ash and his homeboy, they go down there to look around, see what just made this trap door fling open. Myself, I'm going to go out the front door and see what's happening out there instead of going down in the basement or anything like that. But they go down in the basement and they find the Necronomicon and a tape recorder or something like that, I believe. But
Yeah.
they basically what happens is they find this stuff, they bring it up. Of course, we're going to push play on this tape recorder, sends out some demon incantations, and boom, we've got demonic presence all over us. So that's where we're at in the movie, man. So, all right, what do you guys think about where we're at now?
Well, one thing I was going to say, Corky, was, well, Dad, you were the one that mentioned that you love movies where you feel like help is just right there, but you can't quite reach it.
Yep.
Well, to my understanding, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is one of the first Cabin in the Wood movies. So it was one of the movies
bet
that
it
kind of
is.
started that trend of having a creepy cabin in the woods, and you are always trying to escape, but there's something that stops you, like the bridge going down, or your truck messes up and you can't quite get out. So a very unique idea that has resonated with horror movies made today.
And one thing too, like with settings like this, if you're in a weird place, way out in the middle of the woods and something weird happens, it's almost expected. Even in real life, you get creeped out being in the middle of the woods like that. But when you're just, seeing two guys fishing on the other side of that bridge there, and you just kind of drive in, your guard's not up. You're just chilling. You're not that far from town. And that's kind of what makes it like easier to relate to, because we don't normally put ourselves in situations that would be dangerous to begin with. And they didn't go into this cabin. It was just going to be such a chill weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, they weren't going into a dangerous situation either. We might look at this movie now and today and go, golly, man, why are you out in the middle of nowhere, across this bridge that's about to fall in at any time, up in the mountains, out in the middle of nowhere? But that's the thing about making horror movies back in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, and making them in, the last 20 or so years, because back then, it didn't take a whole lot of imagination to create a sense of isolation. And so, you look at any horror movie that's been made between 1960 and 1990. Okay, you look at Psycho in 1960. Bates Motel, isolated, no phones, can't get a hold of nobody, can't get no help. 68, Night of the Living Dead. She's in a farmhouse. She just runs from the cemetery getting chased by these zombies. Another guy shows up in a truck. He ain't got no gas. You're out in the middle of nowhere. It's a sense of isolation. No phone, nobody to call for help. You go into 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You're out in the middle of nowhere in Texas. You walk up on this house. You're needing to get some gas. You get attacked by a guy with a chainsaw. You can't create that sense of isolation in today's type movies. And so
Right.
the overall ideas have to change in order to, create the scare, because, help is a phone call away. Everybody has a cell phone today. There's so many cell phone towers around that, the trope of, I don't have any cell service, or, my battery went dead, or whatever. All of that stuff comes, it's almost been played out. It's always a way to get a hold of somebody for some help in today's movies. Whereas back then, you could have a cabin in the woods that's just across a bridge where people are fishing, but you can't make it back across the bridge. So now you're completely isolated from those people and you're looking at them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
especially
you can't
nowadays.
Yeah.
That cabin would have had terrible reviews on Airbnb, so no one would ever go there.
Yeah, and I bet they.
You're right.
Exactly.
Right. I'm wanting to know how. I'm wanting to know how Ash's buddy even found this place, right?
Yeah. How'd they even book that, man? Because their Wi-Fi signal sucked out there, bro.
He's like, 1 star. There was a book with human skin on it. Possessed.
Everybody got possessed. 1 star.
But back then you don't even book anything online. Who answered the phone? Who did he call?
Yeah, that's a valid question. That's a big.
I want to know who the realtor is that he's talking.
Well,
to,
it was old Billy in Morristown. Billy,
it's old Billy Jack.
It had to be some local guy. Like, I got a cabin out there. Like, don't worry about the sketchy bridge that is falling apart as you're driving.
If the swing suddenly stops when you walk up there, don't worry about it, man. The key is right up above the door. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, and whatever you do, don't press play on that recorder that's in the basement, man.
Yeah. In fact, just don't even go down to the basement. If some chick's hand that you're with gets possessed, don't worry about that. Just don't go to the basement.
So one thing I saw today when researching, I'm pretty sure it's in the basement, is in the basement there is a torn poster of The Hills Have Eyes.
Yes.
And so in the movie,
man, is there? I missed that.
So
that was actually one of the trivia questions I thought y'all would ask.
Yeah, give me 1 point.
Man, that's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. That's 1 point for Bryson already, Dad.
Yeah.
You better be keeping score. But
so
I was going to say
already.
So the reason is because so Jaws was originally supposed to be the scariest movie of all time. Well, when The Hills Have Eyes was made, the director had a poster of Jaws torn in half in that movie. And Sam Raimi thought that was supposed to symbolize that The Hills Have Eyes has now overtook Jaws as the scariest movie of all time.
That's
so
cool.
In the basement, you've got a torn poster of The Hills Have Eyes. So Sam Raimi is saying now Evil Dead is the scariest movie of all time.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I didn't catch it, man. That's good observation.
Yeah, that's a good tidbit. Trying to think where we at. Okay, so now we fast forward till they've unleashed all the demonic presence out there, and I think the next scene, old girl's possessed hand starts to get real possessed and basically turns her into a deadite. And I can remember
Cheryl gets drug out in the forest.
No, yeah, all right. If I've missed something, fill me in, man, because I'm trying to go down the paragraphs here. So
the first possession is kind of like I guess it's kind of controversial. I don't know if it's still
the tree scene. My bad.
Yeah.
Well, before that, old chick stabs Ash's girlfriend in the leg, right?
Yes.
So Ash's girlfriend is laid up in bed. She can't move. And then that's when the chick ends up basically getting called out into the woods by whatever.
Yeah.
And then she goes out and gets attacked by the trees.
Yeah, we get some treophilia going on out there. You know what I'm saying? I actually think that scene, they had to tone it down a lot because it almost got them an X-rated rating for it, I believe.
Well, with some of the cinematography that was done in that scene, I could definitely see where, this is 1981, when you're working with a low-budget horror movie. It was pretty risque with some of the stuff that was going on with those trees.
Yeah,
look, I'll just say, I'll never watch Wizard of Oz the same because with those trees that are alive there,
or the trees from Harry Potter.
Yeah,
that was around Hogwarts.
Yeah, the Whomping Willow, man. You don't want none of that. You don't want none of that smoke.
But I think like the sequence of events that takes place is Cheryl, goes out and gets pulled into the forest. She gets assaulted by the tree. She goes back in and tells everybody, like, holy crap, we got to get out of here. Like, she's torn to pieces. So she makes Ash drive her to town, and they discover that the road's completely demolished. And then she comes back, and she just, I think she actually hovers in the air and, starts to scream, and then they have that whole encounter, and then eventually they subdue her and stuff her into the basement and lock her in there.
See, that's
And
going in the
Yeah.
Airbnb review. It's going to say, my girlfriend levitated.
you got to do
Yeah.
something about this, guys. Which honestly, like, I have a kind of a, I guess, a unique perspective on like watching this, because Sam Raimi, my first introduction to him was the Spider-Man trilogy, and that's my favorite superhero. And if you watch the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, he actually puts some horror elements in those films. Especially Spider-Man 1 with the Green Goblin scene where his mask, he pops up. Like, I'm scarred from that as a child. Like, I'm
that
pretty
freaked
sure
me out as a
I cried, So, yeah, I loved his directing style in the movie. Like, the shaky cam that he did, like, I felt like that, gave me like an anxious feeling, especially watching the demon lurk through the woods and charge up to like the face cams and stuff. Like, I thought that was surreal.
That was a really cool.
Yeah,
that was
some groundbreaking photography at that time, man. And I think they'd done that by just strapping a camera onto a board and running through the woods with it.
I mean, it's low budget as crap, so that they were doing some stuff like that.
But you're talking about the chick that they threw down in the basement when she zombies out and starts singing that what's that song she starts singing? Mama's Gonna Get You a Diamond Ring or whatever it was. That is one of the scariest scenes because you got to remember, I'm watching this movie as like, shoot, I was probably 5 years old watching this movie. That's just how we roll back in my house. But that is one of the freakiest scenes in that whole movie, man. Just her singing that little nursery rhyme. And then when it doesn't work, she starts banging up and down. Dude, you talk about scarring a young Corky. That scarred me, man. This movie has comedy elements in it, but it's also got some scenes in it that are really scary. Like when Ash's girlfriend zombies out, and she just, dude, her eyes go wide, and she's sitting behind him. Just simple stuff like she's sitting behind him, just giggling. And to me, that's just so creepy,
that's
man.
Well, first off, to me.
He's over there talking to the chick that's under the floor, and he thinks that she's still in the bedroom, right?
Yeah.
And then he turns around, and she's sitting there in the
just
doorway.
giggling.
I hate that.
And she's giggling.
Oh, that's what got me is he looked because his girlfriend was laying down. She had gotten stabbed in the ankle with that pencil.
Yeah, that was
and
gruesome.
So he goes and lays her down. His buddy's like, "We're gonna leave." And what a friend, right? He's like, I can't leave her. She's injured. She can't go anywhere. The bridge is down. You're talking about finding a hiking trail. And he literally looks at this man in the face and he's like, I don't care what happens to her.
I'm leaving.
And I'm like, dang, what a good friend, man. So he's talking to him about that. And he looked and she's just kind of sitting there at the end of the hallway, just laughing at him.
I hate that
after
stuff.
his buddy left. But yeah, when she was floating in the air, that scene creeps me out, but it also like makes me think of Mind Freak, like Chris Angel just sitting there floating.
Yeah. See, didn't
there's gonna be a needle come out of her nose next time.
Is there a similar like floating scene in The Exorcist? Doesn't she?
I think it's just her.
She's
kind of
not
like hovering over the bed.
She levitates over her bed.
Okay, I thought there was a similar. I couldn't remember because I just know that kind of stuff like freaks me out the most.
She does levitate over
horror
the bed.
movies.
I don't remember.
And I mean, we'll get to this. We'll get to this. But Ash's girlfriend, with her eyes, the actress actually. So the contact lenses it was glass.
God.
So she's put glass in her eyes for that.
Wow.
Scene.
Ah.
No, that's
I'll
special effects right there, baby.
I would rather have the
that's
glass.
going for it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd rather have the glass in my eyes than have like hair glued to my nipples and everywhere on my
then
body.
be forced to do a handstand during a sex
and then have to
orgy.
do a handstand.
And you have to do a werewolf orgy.
It's like a pet. Smell like a pet s'mores.
So bringing up the werewolf orgy, Kate, I think this is time. What do you have for your butt crack ranking?
What's
the
Kate?
The butt crack
ranking?
It's not anywhere near like like Friday the 13th levels where we got some skinny dipping action going on. But there's a couple of scenes here where they're getting it on in the bedroom, and I was like, I'm taking note. They put it in the movie. They did it. It's just something about the 80s. They just couldn't help it. Like they had to do it.
They couldn't.
They couldn't help it, man.
That's what made the money, man. That's what made the money.
That's what sold them tickets, baby. Okay, we're toward the middle of the movie, so I'm going to segue into this week's trivia, Daniel. Kicking off for us, let's see what kind of crazy questions you've come up for us this week, bud.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. So this week's trivia, I do have 5 trivia questions, but we just found out at the beginning of the show that our good buddy Bryson, special guest, he's got a couple of trivia questions on his own. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do my 5. We'll keep score. And then we'll have Bryson come in there at the end and winner take all, baby. So here we go.
Yeah, we'll see
So
if
we're gonna
y'all
do some
already
Evil
got any
Dead
that I
trivia.
have written down.
So I'm
Now,
gonna
let's do
go ahead and start it off like this. Question number 1: what year did Evil Dead come out?
Cade.
Brent,
I heard Cade first.
it's rigged.
1981.
Freaking bull
No,
crap.
Brent.
1981 is right. 1981
No.
is right. Brent, what are you doing, son?
No, it's 1983. 1981 was when it was made, but it wasn't released until 1983.
Oh, trick
What?
question. Is he right?
Dude, yeah, it
you'll
wasn't
have to look that one up.
Let's research this.
It wasn't publicly released until
It was
1983.
theatrically released April 15th, 1983.
Let's go.
Oh,
Evil Dead.
Man, okay.
dang.
He got the master. So,
I always thought it was 1981. That's crazy.
well, so on IMDb is credited as 1981. So
Yeah, on-
we're going to
So
go
get
ahead and
Brent-
give we're
give me
going to go
half
ahead and
point.
give a point to Brent and Cade both to start this
Oh.
off.
There you go.
What is
Already.
1983?
Already,
That's crazy.
with-
I didn't know that.
already, we firing on all cylinders tonight. Here we go.
Wait a minute.
Question
Hold on.
number
Hold
two.
on. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right.
Technically, the first screening was a family theater named Redford Theater in Detroit on October 15th, 1981. Then the wide release came 2 years later on April 15th, 1983. So technically, it did come out in 1981.
Who gets the point?
I still say you both guys both get a point. But
All
I
right.
just
man.
Because Brent, that was
we-
a good catch by Brent. I
that
didn't
was
know
the-
that.
Man, I'm going to give Brent a point just for the research alone.
yeah, because
Good stuff.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, we'll call that one a bonus point for sure.
I'm the
Yeah.
one
Go.
asking the question, and he got me. So, okay. So far, we got Brent and Cade with a point apiece. Here we go. Question number 2. Where was Evil Dead filmed?
Brent,
Bryson.
Brent, go.
Morristown, Tennessee.
Morristown, Tennessee is correct. That's
ding, ding,
I
ding,
was
ding,
gonna say-
ding.
We're going to have
Inglewood.
2 for Brent, 1 for Cade.
Yeah, Inglewood.
Corky and
Yeah.
Bryson. Going to have to bring up the rear here. Here we go. Question number 3. Who did the special effects for Evil Dead?
Brent.
Brent.
Dang.
It was
Dang,
one of the
he's
Coen
fast.
brothers. It was one of the Coen brothers.
Man, you got to know which
Which
one,
one?
bruh.
That's
Which
wait a
one?
minute.
It
That's
was,
I didn't even hold up. I don't even have that.
Huh?
Are you telling me that
Dan-
my
Dan-
research is wrong? Are you
One of
telling
the
me that
Coen
my
bro-
research is wrong?
One of the Coen brothers did the. Here, I've got it down here.
Corky,
Let's
look it up.
see.
I'm
One of the Coen brothers was one of the editors for this movie.
Who did
editors
the
don't count.
special
I'm talking
effects for-
special
okay.
effects. Who
My
did the
bad, my
special
bad.
effects?
I spoke too soon. I got the Coen brothers. Okay.
Ooh.
That is wrong, sir.
I would answer, but I looked it up, so that'd be cheating.
All right, so it's between. Well, okay, so at this point it's Bryson because everybody else.
I don't
looked
know
up.
it. Yeah, I don't know it.
I'll throw a random guess. I'm gonna say Sam Raimi did it himself because the budget was so low.
Well,
Not
you're
a bad
close,
guess.
but the research I did had Tom Sullivan
Mm.
Yeah, that's what I
as the
just
special effects guy. Tom
Yeah, that's
Sullivan.
what I was going to say, but I didn't get it in. quick
What
enough.
other movies has he done?
I don't know. All I'm doing is looking up Evil Dead stuff, man.
Okay.
So, all right. So number 3 was a loser. Nobody got number 3, but we'll go ahead and go on to number 4. Here's one of my questions. See,
I hate
this.
this.
Here we go. Here we go, baby. Question number 4. What college sweater was Cheryl wearing at the beginning of the movie?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Solid too.
What college sweater, baby?
See, I noticed
Cade.
it when I was watching the movie, but I did
Cade,
not
go.
write it down.
Penn State.
No, nope, it's
Bryson.
not Penn State.
Stanford.
Nope, it's not Stanford.
It's somewhere in the Northeast, or like Michigan, Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan.
It's not Western or Eastern Michigan.
Tennessee Wesleyan.
Yeah,
It's
Tennessee
not
Wesleyan.
Tennessee Wesleyan. Okay, so
Dude, I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
go
that
ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and say this question nobody got. The answer is Michigan State. She was wearing a Michigan State sweater at the beginning of the film.
That was
close.
good.
Michigan.
It was close.
Dang.
Hey, Brent
Okay,
was in
so
Michigan.
so right now we got to do a score tally. So Brent with 2, Cade with 1, everybody else got 0, right?
Yeah, I'm spitting out that
Okay.
goose egg.
Okay, here we go. Question number 5 then. What time was the clock on the wall stuck at when it stopped?
I knew he was
Cade?
going to do
Bryson.
it.
Cade, do it.
I literally made sure to stare at this for the longest time. 30.
No,
10:30.
no, sir.
Bryson?
Bryson, go.
I feel like it was either 10:30 or 6:30.
No, sir.
Dang.
Dang it. I tried to remember this, but it's been a
Brent,
week.
Brent and Corky. Last hope.
10:15. 10:15.
No, sir. Not 10:15.
11:30.
Not 11:30.
Can I try again? Can I try again? I swear I know it. I haven't looked
Man,
it up.
How do I know what you ain't looked it up?
I swear I haven't looked it up. I promise.
Okay, what
I
is
swear
it?
this time. Was it 10:55?
No, it was not 10:55.
3:15.
we're just throwing out times.
Now we're just throwing out times. Okay, so
We're gonna get it eventually.
It was like 11:55 or 10. I swear it was something stupid like that.
You're close. The clock on the wall stopped at 5:50 p.m.
5:50.
Oh.
Okay.
5:50. That's what time it stopped. Because
you know my generation.
so when I was doing my research, I was watching the movie, and every time that I could see a scene with the clock, I would make sure to note that it hadn't changed. And that's how I kind of do like continuity in movies, because I'm really big, especially with low budget movies like this, and continuity's off, then it's either comical or it's like, ugh. So
just to mess with you.
yeah, I made sure that it was 5:50, and it was. So that was
You
my
want to know what's
5.
sad?
What's that?
I had even written that down thinking you'd ask that, right? And I was writing it, watching it last night with my fiance, and she said, "Do you want to like rewind for a minute and pause and make sure you get the right time?" I'm like, "Nah, I got it. We keep on going."
No, baby. No, baby. I got this. I got this, baby. Big goose egg.
I did
when
not
the time
have that.
comes, big goose egg. So
listen, my generation only uses digital clocks. Okay, this is you're asking a lot of us.
you don't know,
We
how,
don't know
to
how to tell time.
We don't look at that.
We don't know how to
Okay.
tell time.
Well, all right. So my 5 questions ended up with Brent with 2, Cade with 1. Now,
Let's
Bryson
go.
has got a few questions of his own, and I'm in the game. So let's do this.
Oh, this
So,
is nice.
I got a couple that I've written down, and so far we've talked about all of them but one. So we did the whole, filmed in Morristown. I did write that one down. The movie poster, The Hills Have Eyes, Time of the Clock. I was super wrong on that. I thought I was hella confident, but so the only one that I have here is what was the bumper sticker there, and it was repeated twice on the front of the truck that about ran him off the road.
Cade.
These bumper
Cade?
sticker questions.
Man. Cade, go.
Oh, I shouldn't have said it. It didn't say
It's on there
groovy, did it?
twice. Huh?
Groovy?
No.
It didn't
Brent?
say. Okay, never mind.
Brent?
It was something USA. I want to say like
Oh.
God bless America.
Me
I
and
got
Brent
nothing.
are on opposite sides of the spectrum here.
No, yeah, I don't
I got
even have
nothing.
a clue.
Man, I should have called
And I
the bumper
thought to
sticker.
remember this too. If we would have done this last week, I would have been on it, man. I'm telling you.
It was
Yeah,
it was
man,
on
I
there
watched
on
this.
each side.
I watched this movie
It was
like
last
a month
Wednesday.
ago.
It was Lazy Mary.
Dang it!
What
Lazy
does that
multiple
mean?
Mary.
choice.
It said
If-
Lazy Mary. Yeah.
What does that mean?
You
I
got
have
me.
no idea.
If it was multiple choice, I would have been on it. I know it.
Where did I get USA from?
I don't know.
Oh, was
so
it
patriotic.
the bumper sticker question in y'all's episode with
Friday the 13th,
It
part
was
3.
It was Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
part 3.
it was that Bruce Springsteen bumper
Oh.
sticker.
Yes, I remember
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Man, my man has been watching the podcast. I
Yeah.
guarantee you,
Look,
people,
I like
Even-
listening to podcasts driving to and from work.
Yeah.
even
appreciate
people
it,
that's
man.
listened to the
Yeah.
podcast couldn't say that, couldn't tell me that. So
I'm gonna
Kudos to
tell
you,
my
my
wife.
man.
I'm gonna tell my
I'll get
wife I
1
met
point for
someone
that.
who watches. So she'll believe me.
That's right.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man.
I'm
We-
not-
Man,
we-
that
we-
means
we're-
that
we're
means
here.
that means this week we have no views because Bryson is our only view, and he is on the show tonight.
Here I am.
Go back and rewatch it, Bryson. That'd be awesome.
I will for y'all.
Yeah, you at least got to give us one view, man.
I watch it. I watch it on my own account, so one of the
Hey,
views is live.
I always go in
do
and I
watch
like it.
I do watch
And
it.
I
Now,
like it.
usually I will listen to it on Spotify when it's posted up on Spotify. But here lately, I've been watching a lot on YouTube, so I've been catching on YouTube. But usually I do catch it on Spotify. I will listen to it at least once. There's been a few episodes that we've done that I've really enjoyed the content, and there's been a few episodes that we've done that I thought that we did some things right. You know what I mean? And so I listened to it again, and then I was like, hey, we need to incorporate this again in the show, or we need to do it like this in the show. Just everything to make the show better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do the same thing. I sit at work and I just critique it all day long, man. But I guess that's how you got to do till you figure stuff out how you want to make it run. You know what I'm saying?
I think y'all are doing good. I've been very entertained just with each episode y'all come out with. Like I listened to the Castlevania episode. I never played a Castlevania game.
That
in
was
my
my
life.
first episode, I think, on the show.
But still went back and listened to that, and it made me want to play them. Go back and play those.
You need to play Symphony of the Night. Seriously.
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night is the best Castlevania game, hands down.
Symphony of the Night's one of the best video games that's ever been made, period. I'll say that.
Yeah, Corky's right. It's probably the best video game that I've ever played.
I need to do it for real.
Yeah. The soundtrack is just phenomenal. I tell you, back in those days, games came on a disc, and you could put them in your CD player, and you would actually play the soundtrack sometimes. And I remember Symphony of the Night was one of those games, and dude, I would put it in my CD player in my truck and just listen to the music. It's got a banging
soundtrack. You could just listen to the music. You could like it pulled up tracks.
Yeah.
Whenever you put it into a CD player, it pulled up tracks, and the tracks didn't really have a title.
No.
But you knew when you started listening to it what level you were playing. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's cool.
Whenever you walk into a different room, it plays a different song. So
it's
really cool.
And speaking of old games, they just put the OG Resident Evil 2 on PlayStation Plus, and I'm about to play that.
Oh my God! They
Speaking
got
of
the
that,
OG on there.
Have you
I'm
guys
about to play
seen
it on my PS5? Yeah.
Have you
I'm about
guys
to-
seen
I've
the-
only played the remakes.
Listen, somebody took and made a retro Resident Evil 1 NES game, and it looks pretty killer, man. Yeah, they took Resident Evil 1 and put it on the NES.
Is it 8-bit?
Yes,
like
yes.
NES 8-bit.
Yes.
Dang.
It
Sweet.
it kind of looks like Zelda did, but obviously it's not 3D like on the PlayStation or whatever. But
That's
man,
crazy.
something and this guy's got it for sale. I want to buy it, man, just to have it. I
Oh
think it's
man,
awesome.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put 2 and 3 on PlayStation Plus, and I actually just replayed the remakes of those 2
dang.
games. So I'm gonna go back and play the OG version.
Since it's on PlayStation Plus, is it available to buy? Can you buy it?
So I think you could buy it, but if you have the premium membership, you can just download it. But you should be able to just buy it if you really want
So
it. It's like
if I can just buy it, I love that game so much that
Just to
I will
have it,
just
right?
buy it.
Yeah.
Just to have it. That's what I did with Symphony of the Night. It was in with another game called Rondo of Blood, which was basically Dracula X on SNES. And it came with a 2-pack, and I got it on sale for like $9 or something. I can't remember what it was, but I didn't even buy it for Rondo. I bought it for Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
it definitely is.
Hey, Daniel.
Yes.
This is kind of sidetracked, but do you know the Denso Spotlight stuff they started doing?
Yeah.
You can go on there and you can search Resident Evil, and you can buy Resident Evil 4 with the points they gave you you
For
can just
real?
go buy the game. Yeah, if you
Dude,
wanna
that's
buy
sweet. That's
if you go
freaking
on there,
sweet, man.
You can buy Resident Evil 4 remake on there. I about this
Dude,
the other
for
day.
real.
Like, 'cause
My 25-year anniversary is coming up, and you get like 2,500 points or something on that thing.
I'll show you tomorrow.
You show it to me tomorrow, and
will.
I'll take my points and
So
I'll
you're
go
gonna-
buy it.
You're gonna buy 200 copies of Resident Evil 4.
You can only buy it.
All you need is one, baby. And I had played Corky's VR Resident Evil 4. Any man or woman or child that can beat that game as is more of a man than me because I got
No
killed in
shot,
about the
dude.
first 10 seconds.
It's
That would
insane.
be
It
too
really
difficult.
is. It is
The
insane.
game's already kind of hard,
It's
so in VR, I would just get nauseous, and then like I'd see it like one of those
dude.
crazy. Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be that'd be too
we
much.
got to get together so you can play it, Kate. Daniel, he
I
said
would love
it's
Dude.
to,
awesome.
man. I would love to.
Yes. It's
But
awesome.
I know we're gonna title this episode "Evil Dead / Resident
Hey.
Evil Classic Game."
Either that, or you're gonna have to cut this out. And
Nah, I ain't cutting nothing out. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Nah,
think
man, we're
it's fine. I
good.
think
We're
it's
good
It's still
now.
It's still zombies. It's all right.
Yeah, you could say you call them Deadites, whatever.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
So,
what do y'all
Corky,
think?
that's my
of,
question. Corky, my question is, where did the Deadites come from? Where did that term come from? Because I don't know.
I don't really know. I think the Deadites were something that do that back in medieval times or something like that. I don't know. Bryson, do you know anything about that?
So I want to say that the term Deadite came around with part 3, the
Yeah,
Army
yeah.
of Darkness, which is in the medieval times. So I think they were all talking about the lore of the Necronomicon back then and the power of the Deadites and stuff like that. And kind of goes into one of 2 topics that I wanted to bring up with y'all tonight about the Evil Dead is the fact that the first one and the second one technically being a remake,
Right.
but they had to label it as a second. It was one of the terms because Bruce Campbell wanted to do a different direction to begin with, and they didn't want to go that direction. They wanted to go more serious. He wanted to go more silly, cartoony. So he finally convinced him to let him do. It was him and one of the other guys that did the first one to do a remake, but they had to call it Evil Dead 2. So when you go and watch Evil Dead 2 and you're like, why is this dude coming back to that cabin with another girl and the
Yeah.
same necklace and like
Yeah.
it's all kind of parallel? It's because it's technically a remake so that it could lead into the Army of Darkness. That was kind of the whole point, was to take it in a different direction. But yeah, the term Deadite, I think, actually came from the third movie. And I wore my Jason Voorhees shirt here because I don't know if y'all have heard the theory
Yeah,
that
he's a
Jason
Deadite.
Deadite. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that
Oh,
theory. I've heard that
I
theory
have
a
not
couple
heard
of
that
times.
theory.
Yeah.
Here, tell us about that theory, Bryson.
So what is it? Jason Goes to Hell, is that part 6?
It's part
Or
Yeah.
9.
part 7?
Part 9.
Part 9. Gotcha.
He
Yeah.
actually
So-
comes back. He actually comes back in part 6 as zombie Jason. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it was Jason Goes to Hell, though. It's panning in hell, and it pans past the Necronomicon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, really?
So the Necronomicon's actually in there, and I think they did kind of a nod, because in Evil Dead 2, when Ash goes down into the cellar, Freddy's glove is hanging up above the door.
Yep.
Really?
So they're all kind of
Yes.
like tipping their hat at
Dude,
everybody.
that's sick.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
So
Yep.
when it scrolls past the Necronomicon, you start really looking into the whole Jason Voorhees story and him being like a real person up until he actually dies. And it's like, how is he resurrected to begin with? Oh, it's all the same universe. He's just a Deadite.
Makes sense. Zombie, Deadite,
Wow.
whatever you want to call him, makes sense.
I'm with
Yeah,
you.
and
I'm
that- and
with
that-
you.
And the Necronomicon actually like traces back to like H.P. Lovecraft. Like he
But here,
coined
listen,
it back
I
in
can
the
tell you a
20s
little
or
bit
something,
about the
right?
real Necronomicon.
Let's hear it.
The Necronomicon, you can actually go buy it, and it was written by H.P. Lovecraft. Now, here's the story. Nobody knows if it's true. It's legend, whatever you want to call it, lore, whatever you want to call it. But the real Necronomicon, Satan's Bible, whatever you want to call it, Egyptian Book of the Dead, whatever you want to call it, supposedly is held at the Vatican is it Italy, Rome, wherever the Vatican's at. So it's supposedly
Rome.
it's in Rome. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's supposedly held at the Vatican, 11 levels down, whatever that means. And the book is supposedly guarded 24 hours a day by armed guards and spiritual guards. So in other words,
Could you imagine that being your job?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know.
That would be so nuts.
Yeah, so
That would
but
be crazy.
I don't know how much you guys get into astral projection and stuff like that, but supposedly some guys that say they can astral project, which is like you
Yeah.
go in spirit form, whatever it is, and they said that you can't even get to the Necronomicon in spirit form because there's actually angels there stopping you from getting to the book. and even in spiritual form. So you can't read it,
That's
in
crazy.
the flesh because there's actual armed guards there, and there's also spiritual guards there as well. Now, how Aleister Crowley got his hands on it, he supposedly paid some ungodly amount of money to the Vatican, and he was granted permission to go in and look at it for 30 minutes. He couldn't write anything down, I don't know if they had pictures or cameras or whatever, but he was able to look at it. And then when he came back, he supposedly wrote the Necronomicon based on what he remembered from seeing it at the Vatican. So can't tell you if that's true or not, but that is the legend that going around of how H.P. Lovecraft, wrote that book.
Yeah, and supposedly there's like multiple versions of these books in the Evil Dead universe. I don't know if you guys know much about that. I was watching a YouTube video maybe last week about it, and it talked about there being different versions, even in spanning from Evil Dead 1 to all the way to, I think even the live action series they ended up doing with Bruce Campbell just a few years ago. There was like different versions. I didn't even know that there were different versions of the book.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and Army of Darkness, he's up there on the hill, and they tell him to go get the book, and he goes up there, and there's this big, slab, this big ancient slab, and there's 3 books on it. And he was like, 3 books? Y'all sent me up here for 1 book.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's
there's
crazy.
several. I think it kind of goes into that a little bit with this newest one, Evil Dead Rise. I think it kind of goes into the different book teachings. Starts to break it off a little bit more.
I was
I
wanting to
actually
ask
liked
y'all
that
about
movie.
Yeah,
that's
movie,
a really good movie.
Yeah,
that
it
was
was
a
a good
creepy
movie.
movie. It was creepy, and
And
when
I-
you compare it to something like this, it's drastically different, like the tone. And I don't know,
Yeah,
what do you guys
yeah.
do? You guys prefer to have like, like the Evil Dead style, like the OG with, you got some horror, but there's a little bit of comedic stuff, or something like Evil Dead Rise, where it's completely, full-fledged
Well,
horror.
I would prefer
just-
Evil Dead Rise, honestly.
So it just depends on what I'm in the mood for. If I'm in the mood for a serious horror movie, I'm going to watch Evil Dead Rise. We went to the movies to watch it, and we watched it in that 4DX or UHX or
Are you serious?
whatever
I
it
would be
was
so
that had
scared.
it wasn't the one where the seats move.
Okay.
I've got my
It was
own
the
separate
four-
story. I've got my own separate story about that. But it was the one where it had like the super high def sound effects and audio. And let me just
It's either
tell you,
IMAX or RPX.
or maybe it was RPX. So
Yeah.
whenever they started playing that record and it started doing
Oof.
all the chanting and everything, dude,
Creepy.
I don't get scared in movies, and I was starting to trip out. I was like, man,
Yeah.
okay, they need to move on from this scene because it's starting to freak me out. I started getting
Yeah.
freaked out because it was so, and I know that it was the whole audio of the film or the theater. So we're
Mhm.
sitting there and you are completely immersed in this movie, okay? And the audio, I mean, it is penetrating you, man. It is
Huh.
all around you. Yeah, dude, it was
That's cool.
freaky. It was
Yeah.
freaky. It was really, really cool. But back to the original question, if I'm wanting to watch a horror movie, I'm gonna watch Evil Dead Rise. But if I'm wanting to watch something, that's light, something that I can get into and I can get some laughs off of, and it's just something, campy, and there's several horror movies from the 80s and the 90s that are like this. You just watch it and it's not a comedy, but it sort of is a comedy. You know what I mean? I'm going to go with Evil Dead, and I love Bruce Campbell. Like,
Yeah, he's awesome.
Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2. I love Army of Darkness. I love it whenever the demonoid chick turns around and like, you will die, you shall die, and all this
Yeah.
stuff, I just thought it was just great. But yeah,
the
it
funny
really
thing-
depends on the mood that I'm in.
The funny thing is, we're talking about it like you're saying. If you want to watch more of a lighthearted movie, watch Evil Dead. But at the time this movie was made, it was banned in several countries.
Yeah.
They had an ambulance. They had an ambulance parked outside of the movie theaters. It had like a X rating. Like people had never seen a movie like this. Just so
Right.
much blood.
I
and
think,
gore.
so that,
I think
you know-
that tree scene got a lot of people, man. That they had a lot of
think so,
problems with the tree
too.
scene.
Yeah, for sure.
That had to be it. That and the pencil in the ankle, because that ankle scene was like,
and dude, that
Yeah.
looked
I hate
painful,
watching that.
man. You know what I'm saying?
You know, you have to understand.
Yeah, that was bad.
It goes back to them practical effects, like we've been
Yeah.
talking about this whole time. But you know, you go back and you're looking at these old movies, and you're going, man, why you got people puking, you know, in the movies? Why you got people that's passing out? Why you got people that's running out? I've seen this movie 1,000 times, and they ain't done nothing. But you have to understand, back then, just what, you know, Cade and Brent was talking about. Back then, people weren't used to seeing stuff like that. People weren't saturated with visual effects like we are now. You know what I mean? So when they see Reagan's head turn around backwards, you know, and they see her doing the thing with the crucifix, you know, and they see her puking the pea soup. They see somebody hanging on a meat hook in Texas Chainsaw.
Or
They
getting
see
hit in the
people
head with a
turning
hammer.
into demons. Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Which,
see
to be-
people turning into demons
To be
in
fair,
Evil Dead.
all of those scenes you just mentioned are like still really scary today. Like
They really are, but they were even more scary back then because people weren't used to seeing that. So people see something like that back in the late 70s, early 80s, you know, in the theater, and they're going, "Oh man." And then all of a sudden your system is overloaded and it doesn't know how to process it. It doesn't know how to react. You know, so back then, yeah, Evil Dead, I mean, you might, if you could laugh at Evil Dead back then, there's something wrong with you. You know what I mean?
Look, I watched this movie last night because I probably hadn't watched this movie for like a year. This is one that I got to watch at least once a year.
Yeah.
And God, I was just cracking up over some stuff, but
Yeah.
in the best ways. Like, do you know what one of the biggest villains is in this movie? And it's not the Deadites. It's the damn bookshelves. That got stuck under 2 bookshelves in that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just laying there,
The bookshelves were
wriggling
attacking,
around.
baby.
Yeah,
They were messing
2 of
him up, dude. Yeah,
that's going in the Airbnb review.
Yeah.
Bad carpentry.
These dang heavy
Yeah.
bookshelves. All right,
Dang
guys.
his
old heavy
buddy-
bookshelves. What's up?
when his buddy gets that like skull knife and stabs his girlfriend in the back,
Oh, I
and
forgot
she
all
starts,
about the skull
I
knife.
did-
Dang.
starts screaming, and that scream, she's screaming for like 5 whole real life minutes. In 5 minutes, I don't know if it's really 5 minutes, but 5 minutes is a long
It
time in
probably
real
seems
life.
like it, don't it?
She's just sitting there screaming, and it keeps cutting to Ash's face, and he's looking at her like, when are you gonna just shut up?
Yeah, and there's also the scene where his girlfriend's just sitting there and she just keeps laughing and laughing and laughing.
that's the creepiest scene.
Yeah, and see,
in the movie.
it's stuff like that sets this movie. That's freaky to me, man. I never will forget when she first became a Deadite zombie, whatever we're going to call them. She was sitting there with that other girl, and they were playing spades. And you know, she was calling out the cards, and she starts going Ace of Spades, Jack of Diamonds, and then I was like, "Oh my God, this chick!"
Then
just-
her
and
voice
eyes
gets
rolled
real
wide,
deep.
and I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
stuff
that's-
just freaks me out. And then there's the one
That
scene
was a
where they
pretty
start.
Same
freaky
here.
scene.
Now I honestly get part 1 and part 2 mixed up. Is part 1 where they start chanting "Dead by Dawn," or is that part 2?
That's part
I think
2.
they do it in this movie. I thought they did it in
I
this
think
one.
that's part 2.
Yeah,
They
see,
did
I
part
get them
two,
mixed
they
up. I
actually-
really do. Well, anyhow,
Because they were
part
doing
2.
some
remember.
nursery rhymes and stuff in part 1, but in part
Yeah.
part 2 is where they're going Dead by Dawn, Dead by Dawn.
Yeah, now see, that was freaky, and that's just a simple thing. You've got people, not a big budget on makeup, you can tell that, but they're going Dead by Dawn, and dude, and
Yeah.
you think about that, like you said, isolated out in the woods. If that's going on, and you're out in the woods by yourself, you talking about scary, dude. You know,
Yeah.
that would
yeah.
just be terrifying to me. If I'm out in the woods and a cellar door pops open, first off, I'm not going down there. Second off, you know, Daniel, earlier you were talking about isolation. I think isolation is a big factor in fear, man. It really is. And
Yeah,
you know,
and Ash is
it
alone
is.
at the end of the movie. So like
Yes,
he's
yeah.
isolated. All the Deadites
Yeah.
are trying to get him. He literally kills his girlfriend. He buries her. You know, I'm pretty sure he
Yeah.
like killed her twice essentially. You know, he freaking put her in the ground. So I mean, Ash really had that feeling of isolation, man. He was going through it
Yeah.
in the movie.
And that last scene where you think everything's okay, but then you see the camera start panning from outside of the
yeah.
I
cabin.
hate it.
That-
I
that's
know. I was
something
like,
else.
Yeah.
That's
That
something
was
else.
a really
It's a
good ending
daytime
scene.
thing. It's a
Yeah.
daytime thing. Like you
Mhm.
know, you saw some of it in Night of the Living Dead. You saw some of it in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And again, you see it here. You know, it's morning. You know, the sun's up. What can happen to you when the sun's up? You know, everybody's fine when the sun's up, but then
Yeah.
all of a sudden
Not
this
this
thing
time.
comes up through the woods. You know, in the middle of daylight, and it can still
Yeah.
attack you. So
Freaky movie, man.
Yeah.
Freaky movie. Okay, guys. Well, I think we've went through the movie. Are you guys ready to rate this sucker?
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
I
Yeah,
am. I
man.
do want to
All right, man.
mention,
Let's
give
rate
an
it.
honorable mention.
Oh wait.
Oh, my bad.
Go ahead, buddy.
My favorite scene in this whole movie is when his buddy leaves to go find that hiking trail. He tells him, "I don't care what happens to your girlfriend." Leaves. This man comes back, and Ash's girlfriend's sitting there just laughing. And he comes in, and his bone is sticking out of his arm. He is tore up, man.
Yeah.
He is in bad shape. And
Yes,
he's sitting on
dude.
he's half unconscious. And Ash is trying to ask him, can we take the trail? Can we get out of here? And he's barely answering him, and he's just shaking him. I'm like, yeah, let's shake the guy that's got bones sticking out
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
again. And then he starts slapping him on the face to try to wake him up. That buddy's got wounds all over his
Like, help
Yeah, he
him,
did
dude.
beat him down, didn't he?
And
Give
he's
him
Yeah.
some
slapping him around.
ibuprofen.
Like,
Yeah.
like he might have made it if he didn't
He needs an
jostle him
Advil.
around so much.
Yeah, get brother some goody powders, man. I
Like,
swear.
That's right.
Man,
That's
yeah.
sick, man.
But anyway, I had to mention that that's my favorite scene.
No,
right
I
off
never
the
thought
scene.
about that,
Sure.
but that's hilarious,
I
dude. Let's beat
forgot.
this guy down, you know. Well, you shouldn't have took off and left me with my dead girlfriend. I'll say that. You know,
True.
maybe you're gonna catch a slapping if you do that.
That's right. Them trees got to you, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Brent, tell us how we're gonna rate this bad boy. Tell us.
All right, so we're gonna do it like we do all the other movie rankings. So we rank it on 5 criteria. It's cultural significance, special effects, music/soundtrack, symbolism, and enjoyment. So we rank them 1 through 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the best. After that, we average out those scores and we get the overall movie ranking.
All right.
So guys, I think we should let
Oh, yeah.
Bryson, our special
Yeah.
guest, I think we should let him start it off.
Special
Kick it
guest
off for
goes
us,
first,
Bryson.
baby.
Do it.
All right, y'all. Well, so cultural significance. I gave it a 7 out of 10. So there's people that might not know the Evil Dead. You know, there's people that don't watch horror and they know who Jason is, they know who Michael Myers is, even if they're not a fan of the franchise. But you've got some people who might not know Evil Dead like that. But it's part of the 80s camp, which is one of my favorite genres of horror. I love the goofiness. I love those special effects, all the handmade stuff. And then to really top it all off, you've got Bruce Campbell. Like Sam Raimi, he went on to do some incredible movies and he has cultural influence in himself. But with Bruce Campbell being that lead actor and all the stuff he went on to do, he's kind of the reason that the franchise kind of continued on and it didn't leave it at just a one movie with no sequel. I wanted to go ahead and give that a pretty decent score, 7 out of 10. Um, the next one is the next one score or special effects?
Special
Either one.
effects.
Special effects, I gave that a 10 out of 10. Like I can't give it anything but 10 out of 10. All the just super gross stuff with like the pus and liquid coming out of all the body parts, cutting off the hands and stuff, and it's just oozing. And at the end, when he throws the Necronomicon into the fire and they all start turning into that like claymation,
That was sick.
disintegrate with
Yeah.
like claymation worms coming out, and then you got
Yeah.
like the snakes and cockroaches walking through as they're all melting into the floor. Like you can't get better than that. Was it the best? No. But for what they had and what they did, and I love it. That's just my favorite type of practical effects is those like handmade, where it might not have been the best crafted special effect, but they really put their all into it for such a low budget. For the score, I gave it a 5 out of 10. There's not really anything in this movie that you would hear isolated and say, "Oh, that's from the Evil Dead." At least for me, but it carries the movie. It really helps with the ambiance of the movie. It helps with each scene. Um, all the little random piano sounds kind of throughout it. And then at the very end of the movie, him coming out with the sunrise, and it's got that orchestral, that really uplifting feeling before it all, goes bad again. So I just kind of gave it a middle of the road, 5 out of 10 for that. Symbolism, another 5 out of 10. I couldn't give this movie a bad score to save my life, but there's not much symbolism in here. It's kind of straightforward. End up in a bad cabin, summon demons, and try to wait till Sunday or till the sunlight. And then overall enjoyment, 10 out of 10. Love this movie. I got to watch it at least once a year. So that averages my score out to 8 out of 10.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Man, that was a good breakdown,
Well,
buddy.
technically it's a 7.5,
That
but I
was good.
rounded it up.
Heck
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
we rounded up.
Yeah, good job there, buddy. Daniel, go next, man.
All right, man, I'll do it. So we'll go ahead and start off with the culture significance. I give it an 8. Again, this is kind of starting off with the heyday of what horror movies become in the early 80s with your slashers and everything else, and Ash himself become an icon. This movie later on become a very cult classic. So you've got, you've got your Texas Chainsaw that's already happened. You got your Night of the Living Dead that's already brought in the zombies into play. You've got your slashers with Michael Myers, and now you've got one in 1980 that come out with Jason. So now you've got demons that's coming into play in 1981. So culturally, this movie, with as campy as what it is still a very important movie as movies go, as horror as a genre goes up through the 80s and the 90s and into what we know now. So I give it a solid 8 for that. Special effects, I give it a 6. I love the claymation at the end. Bryson, what you were talking about with people, even with the low budget that they had, they really put everything that they had into it. We're talking about the glass that went in the girl's eyes. The demons looked creepy. So with as low of a budget as what they were working on, they really did a good job with that. So that's going to be a 6 for me. The music is not memorable for me. I think that the music fits the movie. And what I mean by that is you've got sound effects that tighten tension. You've got sound effects that are leading you into a sense of relief, like you have at the end of the movie, and then all of a sudden it gets you. So music, as far as soundtracks go, I'm gonna have to go with what Bryson was talking about. When I hear something from the Evil Dead, I probably don't know it's from the Evil Dead. It's not as iconic as what some of the other soundtrack tracks are and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 5. Symbolism, I'm going to go ahead and give it an average 5. I didn't really see much symbolism in it. Brent mentioned the poster that was ripped in the cellar. I like Easter eggs like that. I don't know if you can consider that symbolism in itself or not. But they didn't really play with a whole lot of symbolism in this movie. That's not what this movie was supposed to be. And I got what the movie was supposed to be. So, symbolism for me is going to be an average of a 5. My overall enjoyment, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9. I love this movie. I don't know that I would watch it every year like you do, Bryson, but I'm going to watch it at least every other year. It's probably been a couple of years since I've seen it. I love Bruce Campbell. I love his work. I do love this movie. I love the campiness of it, and a lot of people might be turned off by the campiness of it, but for me, that's one of the strong points for the movie. I love being able to watch this movie and be immersed in this movie and still be able to come out, with a happy attitude and kind of be laughing. You know what I mean? So it's a feel good movie for me. And there's a lot of 80s movies that hit the same way. They kind of hit, scratch that same kind of itch. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9 for overall enjoyment. And when you average all that stuff out, I come out at a solid 7.
All right. So we got an 8
Sweet.
and a 7. Brent, you're up, buddy.
All right. So for cultural significance, I give it an 8 out of 10. A lot of it is what Bryson and Dad have already mentioned, but some things I would add. It's one of the first really gory movies. You guys can let me know if I'm wrong about that, but it started kind of that gore fest type of movie, just blood and guts everywhere. And you guys know, and viewers of our show know that I love Stephen King. And Stephen King has this movie as I believe it's his 5th favorite horror movie of all time. He even wrote the little quote that goes on the movie poster. So Stephen King, I'm sure, has influenced some of his work. And I love Stephen King. But even past that, so you've got the gore stuff. You've also got The Cabin in the Woods, one of the first Cabin in the Woods movies. So the only reason it's not higher is because, like Bryson said, not everybody knows Evil Dead. So you can't put it in the same league as like Halloween or Friday the 13th or something. But still, 8 out of 10. Special effects, I give it a 9 out of 10. I don't give it a full 10 out of 10 just because, The Exorcist was made before this movie, and that's, I would give that a 10 out of 10 for the time. But this movie, still, for such a low budget movie, has some great special effects. And Bryson, you already mentioned it, the claymation, the worms, all of the blood, like the blood pouring out of the light sockets. And
I got a funny story about those light sockets when y'all get done ranking the movie.
Okay, yeah, I want to hear it. But yeah, like the blood coming out of the light sockets, and then the camera work, how the camera pans all the way across the field and stuff, going right into the house. I love that, so I give it a 9 out of 10. The music. All right, so my thing on the music is the theme song itself I really enjoyed, and the score itself helps to build the ambiance of the movie. So I gave it an 8 out of 10. Now I understand exactly what you guys are saying, is that you're not going to be able to pick this up. You're not going to be able to go to Spirit Halloween and pick up the Evil Dead soundtrack, but I give it an 8 out of 10. I liked it. Symbolism, I give a 5 out of 10, mainly because of the poster. I think it's I give him big kudos on having the poster saying, "Hey, we are the next big thing." I love that. And then, he's got the whole lore with the Book of the Dead. And so, anyway, I give it a 5 out of 10 on symbolism. Enjoyment. So this is where you guys are going to kill me, okay? I gave it a 5 out of 10 because,
Wow.
I gave it a 5 out of 10 because this movie, I liked it fine, but it's not one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. It's not one of the favorite movies I've reviewed for this podcast, but it was an enjoyable movie. I'm glad I watched it. This was a first-time watch for me, and so I love studying about it, but this probably will not be a yearly watch for me, but I'll have to go and watch the other, the sequels to this movie, to see if it grows on me, and it may, when I watch the sequels. So that score, it averages out to a 7 overall score. So this movie is a 7 out of 10 for me.
Nice, Brent. 5 out of 10 for the overall enjoyment. Hey.
Yeah, I know. Corky, you're muted.
So I was saying, so we got a 7, 8, and a 7, correct?
Yep. I got them all wrote down.
All right, kick it off, Cade.
Yeah, I won't hold y'all up too long. Cultural significance, this is going to be an 8 for me. I think Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell established a cult horror classic with Evil Dead. All Sam Raimi fans, which there are tons, even from me coming from the Spider-Man trilogy, all know this movie, and all have gone back to watch this awesome movie just to see what started it all for him. So I feel like it's campy style horror movie. It was just great. But special effects, I'm actually going to give this a 10 out of 10. I thought that what they did with the low budget was awesome. Especially I think back to the ankle scene. That scene is just engraved in my head forever because I feel like just watching her turn that pencil and the ankle is just oh, it's tough to watch. So I think a 10's pretty fair score for that. And with symbolism here, it's not much. I'm gonna give it a 5 for this. There's really not much to really touch on. That wasn't the main focus of the movie. The score was decent. It drove some certain scenes, so I'm gonna give that a 6 there. And overall enjoyment for me, I think this is actually a 10 in terms of how much I like it. I think it's hilarious watching how some of these movies were back in the day, and seeing what Sam Raimi was able to do with just the limited budget that he had, just shows like how talented he really was. So that gives me a 7.8 or an 8 out of 10 for my score of Evil Dead.
All right, so we got us an 8 there. I'll run over it real quick, guys. My cultural significance is a 5. My special effects is a 10. My music, I gave it a 1. I don't even remember a lot of music in the movie, so I'm gonna give it a 1. Symbolism, I'm gonna go with 5. But overall enjoyment, man, I gotta give it a 10 because I absolutely love the movie. So for me, it gets a 6.2, and that rounds down to a 6. So, Cade, what did we get all together?
Yeah, let me fix my little cell here.
Corky, that's the lowest ranking that you give any movie so
and
far.
and in truly, I love the
That
movie.
is a 7.
So it gets a 7 out of 10. It's not about, and you know what? That's legit, man. I think The Evil Dead is a 7 out of 10 movie. I really do.
So the Remember That podcast gives The Evil Dead a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
In comparison to some of the other movies that we have reviewed and that we will review, Evil Dead getting a 7 out of 10 is actually a pretty good score.
Yeah, I'll say that too. Bryson, before we cut out of here, you was going to tell us about the blood in those sockets, man.
So in middle school, my buddy told me about this movie, and he was like, "You've got to go see this movie." And I didn't really get fully into horror until high school, but I watched several movies growing up. I accidentally watched a Halloween movie way too young, scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go see this movie. My buddy was talking it up. So I go home, I'm sitting in my computer room back in the day when you had the computer room. So I'm in a room all way back by myself in the back of the house. I'm watching this movie. I'm getting creeped out. It's because, truth be told, the movie is goofy. It is campy. But at the end of the day, it is pretty creepy. It's got some pretty creepy scenes in it. So that scene down at the end where he's down in that cellar and all those light bulbs are filling up with blood and the projector's going with all the blood going down the projector. As soon as that light bulb burst and that blood came out of that light bulb, my power in the house went out like in a robot.
Oh,
I'm sitting in the computer room by myself. That light bulb blew and my whole power went out. I'll never forget that. So that brings a little bit of nostalgia back to me because I've only had a couple of times where I got really scared watching a movie, and when my power cut out, that was one of those times. Yeah, I about shit my pants.
Well, hey, man,
that's crazy.
That's a crazy story,
that's
Bryson.
Awesome. That's awesome.
We appreciate you sharing that with us, man. And hey, listen, man, Bryson, you're welcome back anytime if you want to come and talk about a movie with us, man. We really enjoyed having you tonight.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, and that's The Evil Dead from the Remember That crew. I also want to give a shout out to Nevermore Hollows and Myth Monsters and Mullets. Those are awesome podcasts. They're available on YouTube and Spotify and anywhere else you can get your podcast at. So, go check out those 2 podcasts. Those are great. I'll have links in the description. And shoot, man, for myself, Cade, Daniel, Brent, and Bryson, we appreciate everybody tuning in to us, and catch us next week. See ya, bye.
See ya, bye.
See ya, bye.
Yo, we rolling deep, let's dive into the fright. Hit that play button, we review every bite. From horror flicks that give you chills at night to games that thrill, yeah, we get it right. Remember that, step back, hold tight. We'll dissect every scare, keep the vibe right. Remember that, we're here to expose the thrills, the chills where the dark wind blows. From pixels on screens to the sound that glows. Join us forever, that's how the story goes. Now let's talk beats, we break down the sound. From underground hits to the mainstream crown. Music that moves, lifts you off the ground. Tune into our rhythm, let the passion rebound. Let's reminisce, before we every fight, from underground hits to the mainstream crown. Let's reminisce, every song, every fight, we'll vibe through the shadows, shining our light. Remember that, we're here to expose the thrills, the chills, where the dark wind blows. From pixels on screens to the sound that glows. Join us forever, that's how the story goes. So plug in, we're on this ride tonight. Remember that, keeping horror in sight.